What, we some kind of Suicide Squad?
I am Iron Man.
You are a toy!
I live my life a quarter mile at a time.
Server Anakin! I have the high ground!
I'm gonna steal the Declaration of Independence.
I'm simply saying that life, finds a way.
Welcome back to a special Saturday edition of the Big Movie Boys podcast. I'm your host, Jeremy Baum, and with me as always is Bob Liebel.
What's up, motherfuckers?
And Ben Stitch.
Happy anniversary, boys.
Today we're doing something a little bit different. Obviously, normally the podcast comes out on Monday. We're doing a special edition for the Oscars, however, a little peek behind the curtain. Normally we would record on a Friday or Saturday. The episode comes out on Monday. This week we're kind of getting screwed though because the Oscars falls right in the middle on Sunday. We wanted to do a Big Movie Boy challenge around the Oscars, so we figured we'd get this one out a little bit early. That way our predictions are out there before the Oscars show actually happens. So this is strictly going to be about the Oscars, probably going to be a little bit shorter. The rest of the episode, a little more standard, will come out as scheduled Monday at noon. We'll be reviewing Mortal Kombat as well as a few other things. But boys, let's get into our special Oscars edition here. Just before we get into our challenge, what do you guys think of the Oscars, maybe award shows more generally? Do you normally watch them? Do you plan on watching them this weekend?
I'm going to watch them this weekend for sure. I'm pretty big on award shows. I like the Grammys, I think, more than I like the Oscars. Just because I think it's more easy for me to listen to, like... I think I find myself listening to more of the music that I hear in the Grammys and that are nominated for in the Grammys than I do, say, something like the Oscars. Like, for example, this year, I don't think I've seen any of the Best Pictures. But honestly, though, if it is, like, I think maybe 2 years ago or the year before, whenever Parasite was out, I'd seen most of the Best Picture nominees. I'm telling you.
That was a great year.
It was
2019.
If you have seen every movie, or at least a majority of the movies that they talk about in the Oscars is fun. You know what I mean? Like, it's fun to watch and root for the movies that you like, especially because it's almost like validation, because you're like, I really like that movie, and so do these critics, you know? So, like, that's what I kind of enjoy.
So do a bunch of old white men.
Yeah, but that's what I enjoy about award shows, whether it be the Grammys, the Oscars, maybe even the Emmys sometimes. If it's something that you've seen and you like, and then it gets that validation, it makes you feel better about yourself. But yeah, I like...
And all the hard work you put into watching it?
Yes, all about that, yeah.
Yeah, Bob, you said rooting for the movies that you like, which leads me to my point that in 2016, that's when I stopped watching the Oscars because La La Land was screwed. I love Moonlight, but it was like being told you won something and then immediately taken away. It was just like it felt like I worked on La La Land. I thought I was going to go up there, but yeah. So since then, I haven't even really watched the Oscars. I'll watch it this year, but that's more so because we're doing this game and I'm like super competitive about it. So I'm just excited to see it like that. But normally I don't think I usually step. It sucks because I like the last 4 or 5 categories are the ones you want to watch, but I don't feel like staying up till like 11 p.m.
Midnight,
yeah, exactly, to watch those ones.
3 hours in, you don't care anymore. You know who wins Best Actor?
Exactly, which is why I don't really tune in at the beginning. Like I usually watch the monologue, I feel like, but then after that, I'm like, I don't really care who wins. Like,
they'll give you a big
featured
category
film or something.
Yeah, but they'll give you a big category to start with in the first
like
like 35
they like
minutes.
to tease you.
Yeah, and they're like, hey, best, but they always say, and coming up soon, Best Picture, and it doesn't come up for literally 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I don't think I watched the Oscars very much at all up until just like the last couple of years, and that's strictly because I've found, like, in following more YouTube channels and podcasts that talk about movies, some of them will do like watch-alongs for the Oscars, like streaming on Twitch or whatever. So there's one channel I follow, Your Movie Sucks. In particular, the last 2 years, I think I've been watching his streams that he does, like simultaneously alongside the Oscars. So that makes it more tolerable when you're listening to people just kind of riff over the Oscars and make jokes as it's going on. But yeah, I mean, Bob, I get what you're saying. I don't personally need that validation. I do like when movies that I like win, obviously, but
So you do need the validation.
I don't need it though.
You crave it.
Do you like award shows though? Like, I love award shows.
Generally, no.
I just like when a person gets a good slime.
Yeah. But I watch like the red carpet too.
No, I definitely
watch all that shit.
I don't watch any of that bullshit. I
love
like when there's a good host, like if Ricky Gervais is hosting the Emmys
I like
or
Jimmy Kimmel
Golden
too when he
Globes
does
or whatever
it.
the hell he hosts all the time.
Guy just did the Grammys, Trevor Noah. He's just fantastic. He's taking over the world right now.
Like I'm much more likely to watch a compilation of, you know, best jokes of the night or the monologue or whatever. But
yeah, that's fair.
generally speaking, not huge into award shows. With that being said, we're going to get into our Big Movie Boys Presents Who is the Biggest Movie Boy Challenge, where we are going to try to predict the winner of every Oscars category. The way it's going to work is we have selected one movie to win each category. We're going to run through all of them. Some I'm sure will have more to say than others. And what is there, 23 total? 24? 23. Ooh. And so if you want to play along, we'll tweet out probably right before the Oscars on Sunday all of our selections. And then as the show goes on, you can see live who's going to be winning, who's going to be losing.
It will be me winning.
I guarantee victory.
And obviously, whoever gets the most correct will win. Whoever gets the least correct will lose. If there's a tie, we'll have to figure it out. The punishment review is not going to be out on the episode that comes out on Monday. We're not going to have enough time between Sunday and Monday to watch a movie and review it. So,
especially at the clip I watch movies.
Yeah. So next week, on the 3rd, I believe, that Monday is when we will have our punishment review. To keep it on topic, I guess, on theme for the review we'll be doing in the real episode, the punishment review for the week after will be Mortal Kombat Annihilation, the sequel to the original Mortal Kombat. I'm sure it'll carry through smoothly from this new Mortal Kombat movie. So look forward to that in a week. Let's get into our first category here. We're not going in the exact order of the Oscars because I don't know what order the Oscars goes in. We're basically going from what we consider kind of the least interesting to the most interesting, starting with makeup and hairstyling. Bob, what are you choosing for this category?
Yeah, this is one, it was a lot of deliberation went into this because, I'm a huge fan of every one of these movies that are all nominated, but I had to go with Pinocchio, mostly because I know that Pinocchio has a big, long nose. And if Pinocchio has a big, long nose, that means a makeup artist or a hairstylist had to somehow transpose that onto the screen. So
Probably not the hairstylist, but
anyway, I haven't seen it.
I think that was CGI, but I like it.
No, I think it's the Oscars, man. Practical effects rule the world. Not best visual effects, this category.
Yeah, this one's easy for me. Going with Ma Rainey. Did not see this movie, but every time I looked at it, everyone's hair was great. It was in great form. This one's easy.
That was a good pick. I considered it as well. Instead, I decided to go with a movie I don't know anything about, Hillbilly Elegy.
Terrible pick.
I gotta think, based on the name alone, good makeup and hairstyling in it.
Yeah, it came out on Netflix.
It did.
So did Ma Rainey's Black Bottom.
Get the fuck out of town, really?
Yeah.
When?
I don't know.
Heard that was good. I had to pay for that.
I didn't know that was on Netflix either.
Fuck me.
Yeah. So, okay. Guess we'll see which one wins that. I didn't see...
These first couple are going to be rough,
these
folks.
will be brutal.
Yeah, not a category I felt strongly about. Let's move on to costume design. Ben, what did you think for costume design? Did you go with the same train of thought?
Yeah, so I almost went with the favorite here, which is, again, Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, but I watched Mank, and I think I'm going to pick Mank a bunch here. I just love the old-fashioned style. I know Ma Rainey's is old-fashioned too like that, but I don't know, just seeing it in action, I'm just going to lean more towards Mank.
I'm going to steal your train of thought from the first one. I'm going Ma Rainey's Black Bottom on this one. Again, haven't seen it, but you were saying the hair looks good. I thought those costumes looked great, at least in the 1 or 2 commercials I saw for it.
Bob, are you thinking the same thing with Pinocchio in the first round?
Nah. So I kind of agree with both of you on both parts. Mank is nominated for a lot of things, so I think that's never going to be a bad pick. But from what I did see of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, yeah, their costumes looked, I'm assuming, whatever time period appropriate. Thought it looked pretty good.
What time period, Bob?
You can tell.
Bob's mindset early on, if you can't beat him, join him.
Yeah, no, but I picked Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Who was the costume designer, Jay?
Couldn't tell you.
You don't know the work of Ann Roth?
I already scrolled away from that category. All right, let's scroll down to production design. Ben, I'm just going to be one step behind you, I guess, this whole time, because for production design, I went with Mank. For the same reason Bob brought up Ma Rainey's Black Bottom in the last one, I thought they very much captured that, what is it, 20s? 30s? What year is Mank?
30s and 40s.
30s, 40s. I thought it all looked very good. So I like, and as Bob said, Mank's up for a lot. It's got to win something, right?
Right.
So, Bob, what'd you have for this one?
So we were talking about Ma Rainey's Black Bottom and Mank. I decided to throw in sleeper pick here because I don't know what it's about, but somebody gets fucked every year. So I'm going to go with The Father. Don't know what it's about.
You don't need to. It sounds good.
I know it has good
the production design looked great.
Off of a name like The Father, production design, yeah, that's intertwined, hand in hand. I would say if I win that one.
I think that's actually a pretty good pick. I was considering that as well. One of the few things I know about the movie. So I haven't watched the movie, but it's about an old guy with Alzheimer's, and it's like through his perspective. And apparently it mostly takes place in a house, but the house changes a lot based on the guy kind of losing his faculties and not remembering where stuff is. So
sounds like good production design.
Maybe that'll be a point in the decision factor of the Academy.
Jesus Christ, cut
there you
that.
go.
Academy
Keep
was
that.
God damn.
Academy was the word I was trying to come up with for 6 words there.
Oh, is it my turn?
Yeah,
right?
you're up.
Yep. I also want to go with Mank. It is the favorite in this category, but I'm going to go with another one because I think, just thinking back, this was one of our favorite movies of the last year. I'm going with Tenet. I feel like they had a lot more to do with their bigger sets. I know the Academy probably doesn't love that as much as what they do in like Mank or The Father, stuff like that, but hey, it's got a shot. I would go with, I want to vote for Tenet in one thing, and this is like the only thing I can vote for, I think.
And for everyone listening at home, if you think Ben's just being a sarcastic asshole like I thought for a second when he keeps saying the favorite, he's actually looking at the Vegas odds for each of these categories.
It may be a cheap way of picking it here, but I'm not going straight chalk here, Jer.
All right, next subject, one very close to all of us. This is going to be tough for any of us to pick. Documentary short subject. Bob, how did you even begin to make a decision on this category?
Yeah, documentary short subject. I went with...
Seems like he's deciding right now.
Yeah, for this one I went with The Hunger Ward because I had this picked ahead of time and I did not forget to put this on my list. So yeah, the one I put a lot of thought and effort, Hunger Ward, sounds like Hunger Games. Everyone knows that's a good movie. Yeah, Hunger Ward, documentary short subject, is going to win the Oscar.
Jared, maybe go ahead and put in your pick here real quick.
Did neither of you go ahead and pick
Why is this
one?
not on the odds list? I got best documentary for a feature one. I'm
yeah, I
ready
have
for that
feature.
one.
I didn't.
I fucking know the answer to.
I went off the same thing Jeremy's looking at, so I must have just skipped right over this.
Yeah, so I just went with A Concerto is a Conversation because I thought that was the coolest sounding title of them all. I don't know anything about any of these, so that was
shocked if any of us did.
Total shot in the dark. We'll see how it plays.
Yeah, this one not coming up on my list. Not really sure what to pick. I'm not gonna play it safe though. I'm going with A Love Song for Latasha because
I heard it was good.
Latasha's great. I met her once and she was a great woman, so I think it could have a chance at winning.
All right, well, you guys were over-prepared for documentary feature. Ben.
Let me go first for this one. Don't even need to look at my my odds list because I just watched this past week, and I'm going with My Octopus Teacher. It was super fucking good. I don't even know the odds for this one, but that one was enjoyable to watch.
You actually watched it?
It was like a great. You know how you throw stuff on before you go to bed and you don't even care if it keeps playing? I had to pause that shit so I didn't miss anything.
What was it about?
His Octopus Teacher did. It's about this guy who just he's a burnt out filmmaker and he lives in South Africa, so then he lives right by the ocean and he goes back, makes friends with this octopus, and then just kind of watches her life every day. And it's fucking wild.
That's depressing.
Yeah, that's the only one of these I'd even heard of, and that was originally my pick. I changed my pick to Collective, and I won't say why until Bob locks in his pick because I don't want him to steal it from me.
I went with Crip Camp. I assume that's about the Bloods and the Crips. I know who they are, so that was the reason it got my vote.
Fuck it.
I picked the Collective, or just Collective, because it's also nominated for Best International Film Feature,
Ooh,
I believe.
that's kinda
That's
smart.
doing your homework right there. I'd never done that.
That was literally just reading ahead in the other categories. It came up again, so let's move to Short Film Animated. Another category that was very difficult to pick because I had not heard of any of these. I took a shot in the dark, and I went with Burrow. Don't know what it's about. Don't know if it's good, but I think that's what the Academy is going to be picking.
This one's easy for me. I also did not watch any of these, but I will go with... and these ones I like to go with the longest title. If anything happens, I love you. It feels like a winner to me.
Yeah, I went with Opera, shortest title.
Two different strategies. We'll see which one pays off. I'm sure it'll be one that none of us picked.
Bold strategy, Cotton.
How about for short film live action? Bob, what did you have for this category?
I went with Two Distant Strangers. All about all I have to say about that. Just literally shot in the dark on this one.
This is not on my list either. Jared, do you know anything about these?
No, I've not seen any of these short films. However, I'll just jump in and say I also picked Two Distant Strangers for absolutely no reason.
You know what? I don't feel like missing out. If you guys get it wrong, I'm going to go Two Distant Strangers on this one.
Strategy-wise, that's a good idea.
So this category is a wash when Two Distant Strangers does not win. What do we got next? Let's go with international feature film. I know we've watched a lot of these. We've reviewed a lot of these on the podcast as well. Ben, what did you pick for international? Or sorry, what did Vegas pick for international feature film?
This one is on my list. I'm not going to go with collective, just based on it being in another category. Thought that was interesting. I'm going with Another Round because it is the favorite. Hey, but it's not a huge favorite.
I'm glad to hear that because I also just picked Another Round because it was from Denmark. I thought that was a good country to win international feature film this year.
I went with The Man Who Sold His Skin out of Tunisia.
Yeah,
great country.
25-1 odds. It's gonna be tough.
I'm betting on that at Chino tomorrow too.
All right, let's get into some categories that maybe we will have some opinions on. Although it doesn't sound like Bob has watched any movie that's been nominated. So let's get to sound. For sound, it's gonna sound like a cop-out. I went with Sound of Metal. Is it because it has sound in the title? No, not entirely.
Yeah, Jeremy, I'm going to double down there. Sound. I mean, that's bulletproof logic for me. Also, this is probably the number one movie out of anything that I've seen on these lists that I really want to watch. You guys have both seen it. I think I would like this. So it's a no-brainer, right?
Yeah, I'm annoyed because it is the favorite, but that's not the reason I picked. I watched this. I finished this movie today, and it was the way they did it. In other movies where there are deaf people, it's like they just show other people talking and them not really understanding. In this, like, you get every sound. You kind of follow along with him the whole time. You feel like you're deaf, and you get the frustration he lives with. And this movie, just like it was like really sad, and it was a really good movie. I thought it was Riz Ahmed was fucking amazing in it, and it should win best sound, which is ironic because a lot of it is not sound, but the way they utilize it is really remarkable.
That's what I was thinking. Almost the way you just described it, I was like, if it's nominated for this and it's also nominated for Best Picture, I'm assuming they do that well. If I knew what the premise of it, I assume they had to have nailed it. Why else would they be here?
So sorry to make that a wash, but I think that's a good one to have as a wash.
I also, like in previous years, there's been categories for sound editing and sound mixing. Typically goes to the same movie. I guess they just finally acknowledge the fact that the Academy doesn't know the difference between the two. And a lot of cases, these technical awards, it's supposed to be best sound, but same with like editing. A lot of times it's most sound. And this movie, I think, has the most sound.
It's where you notice sound the most.
Exactly. Yeah. So I think that's a safe bet. Let's keep the sound theme going with music original score. Bob, what do you think is going to win for original score?
Yeah. So for music original score, I put Speak Now.
It's not one of the options.
That's an interesting choice considering it's not nominated.
I'm sorry. That is my pick for music original song. For music original score, I have News of the World. I remember the commercials for that. It has Tom Hanks in it. That guy is always winning awards. I mean, I know he didn't come up with the original
music
score
for this movie as well, yeah.
But I assume they're probably just like, hey, Tom Hanks is in it, let's throw him a bone.
Interesting.
For me, this is tough because I've seen Da 5 Bloods, I saw Mank, I didn't see News of the World, but because Bob picked it, I don't want to have it. But I think I'm going to pick Soul. Minari is the one I haven't seen here, so it's like, it's scaring me a little bit that might win, but Soul, I remember just like a lot about jazz, and I remember it having like a fun soundtrack, so maybe they'll give us like one fun one this year. That. So I'll take that one.
You got Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross on here twice. Two different movies. I went with Soul as well, though. I feel like music was kind of an important part of that movie. Definitely played into the themes of the movie, so I think that could be a factor in their decision, but who knows? You never quite know with the Academy, do you? Bob, you want to give us once more your pick for music original song?
Speak Now, because it's from One Night in Miami. Leslie Odom Jr., who also stars in the movie, I think he sang this, according to the things that I see on here. I think he's also a musician.
Lyrics by. He may have sang it as music and lyrics by.
Yeah, so I assume, I don't know. I'm impartial because whenever I see something like this, I think about A Star Is Born and how I was drunk watching the Oscars that one year because I love that fucking movie so much. I was like, it better win. So I'm just thinking, hey, similar thing. You know, if you write the song, you perform the song, and you're in the movie, you gotta somehow get this.
That's good logic there. I'm going with Fight for You from Judas and the Black Messiah. This movie stings me because I was a fucking idiot and waited to watch this on streaming, and then one day later, when I went to watch it, it was taken off the day before.
Same thing happened to me.
And but she's pretty famous. I gotta think, Jeremy, you saw this movie, but I gotta think there were some fucking bangers in this movie, and based off that, this has got to be a banger itself if it's coming out of those songs.
Yeah, this was my pick as well. Judas and the Black Messiah, my favorite of the Best Picture nominees, and basically, of the two movies I've seen from this list, I went with the one I liked more, so I picked Fight for You. So, Ben, I feel like our lists are a little too similar.
That's good for me.
Or really bad.
Or Bob will be a distant third. Let's move on to writing adapted screenplay. Ben, you're read the book first, call it better than the movie kind of guy. What did you have for best adapted screenplay?
Yeah, for me, I didn't watch any of these movies listed, so I went with what I think is going to win a lot of things this night, and that is Nomadland.
Probably a safe bet. I watched a few of these, 2 of these maybe. But I'm gonna go with The Father. I feel like that, and I haven't seen it, but just from what I've heard, I feel like it might be the best movie nominated in a lot of these categories.
It's the second favorite.
But I don't know that it's gonna win everything. I think they might give it some of these kind of, lesser awards so that they don't feel as bad about not giving them the big ones.
That was also my thinking, Jeremy, because I saw this nominated for a lot of things. I also picked The Father. But another reason why I picked The Father is it's also written by somebody named Florian Zeller. And when I first read Zeller, I thought it said Zellner, like our good old degenerate friend Jared. So I picked that strictly off of that. You know, when you're just basically scrolling through the nominees in the dark, like how I was, little things will stick out at you like that, and that's why I picked it. So,
honestly, that might be how most Academy voters vote.
Yeah, possibly. I actually vote in the Academy. You guys didn't know that about me.
I wouldn't be. I think most Academy voters have seen as many movies as we have.
Probably. They don't have as cool of a podcast, though.
Well, that's for damn sure. Move on to the other writing category, original screenplay. For this one, I went with Judas and the Black Messiah. I didn't pick it for every category, but I wanted to pick it for a few. I have seen the most nominees in this category other than Best Picture, I think. And for writing, I would say, personally, that Judas and the Black Messiah had the best writing of what I've seen.
I also picked Judas and the Black Messiah. Similar logic to why I picked Father, in that I feel like it might not win the big one, but it's nominated for a lot of things, so maybe it will get a consolation prize with writing original screenplay.
I want to vote for Sound of Metal here, but there's not a ton of writing in it, so I don't think it'll be able to make that jump. For those of you wondering, Promising Young Woman is the favorite here, but I'm going to go with Trial of Chicago 7. I think it maybe had a bigger impact this year, so honestly, I don't really know much about Promising Young Woman besides just knowing the face of the actress, who's the actress in it. But other than that, I haven't really heard much stuff about this, so maybe that
it
usually
was a Big Movie Boys recommendation of the week I watched it. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, don't remember that. But yeah, I'll be rooting for Trial of Chicago 7 on this one.
All right, moving on to visual effects. Why do I feel like we all have the same pick for this one? Bob, what did you choose for visual effects?
Yeah, that was an easy one. Tenet. If it's a movie I've seen, yeah, I need to fucking...
Yeah, Tenet is the favorite. I know Bob wanted to go with Mulan, just couldn't really pull the trigger.
Before I saw Tenet on the list, I was like, "Oh, Mulan!" Like,
but I'm also going with Tenet. The visual effects makes me almost wish I didn't do it for. I don't even know what prop. I don't even know what I voted for it earlier. But production design or something. Yeah, but visual effects, they fucking crashed a plane into a building for real. So I'm going with Tenet on this one.
Yeah, I'm gonna make this category our third watch of the night. That's gonna be Tenet for me.
It's the one I feel most confident about. Honestly, yeah.
Yeah, it's also the only movie in that category I've seen, so why not just go with it? I didn't watch that.
Oh, yeah, just me and Bob did. Yeah. I forgot.
I love how the category I've seen the most of, which is 2, is fucking visual effects.
And the movies you saw were Tenet and the Mulan remake. Yeah, you should be proud of that, Bob. Move on to film editing. Ben, what do you got for film editing?
Not looking at the favorites for this one. I'm going with, I think, Nomadland. Jeremy, you watched this movie, right? I didn't watch it. It's on Hulu. I should watch it. I probably will like tomorrow now, but I just feel like that's up for like Best Picture, and editing is a big thing. And when it comes to Best Picture, I think this is like the award that leads to the award. I think they're gonna give it to it, going with Nomadland.
This is another category I've seen 4 out of 5. I wouldn't say that the editing stuck out as being something super noteworthy in any of the 4 movies I watched. That being said, I picked Sound of Metal. Of the 4 I watched, I would say that is the best. Choose. Who knows if the Academy will agree with me or if The Father had better film editing.
See, with the Sound of Metal, I'm just a little confused because it's like that. It seems a little more sound mixing. Is that the same thing as editing? Because it is technically editing the film. Like that one's tough to me.
I mostly picked it because there's some good like montages in it that were very, especially towards the beginning. There's a little like kind of road trip montage that's pretty cool. And it is the most recent one I've seen as well, so maybe it's just the freshest in my mind. But like I said, the other movies didn't really stick out to me. They certainly weren't bad. They would have stuck out if they were bad, but didn't stick out as being exceptional.
Yeah, I went with The Sound of Metal as well, not because I've seen it like Jeremy, just because it piqued my interest.
Fuck it.
Yeah. Try to diversify my picks.
All right, next category is cinematography. So for cinematography, maybe it's a cop-out because it's black and white. I went with Mank. It's harder to do than you would think. It takes a lot of skill to create a movie that's not just black and white that looks good, but they really, I think, went the extra mile to make it look like a movie that came out in the 30s. They made it look pretty much like Citizen Kane, so I appreciated that aspect of it. Hopefully the Academy will as well.
I also went with Mank, strictly off of my strategy that it's nominated for a lot of things.
Whatever I pick, you should pick as well.
No. It's nominated for a lot of things. It'll probably win at least a couple of them. Honestly, Mank was nominated for so many things. If you had picked it for everything it was nominated for, I think you actually probably would have done pretty good in this. But also, it could get snubbed. You know, it might not win anything. But I just went with Mank. Obviously, I haven't seen it.
Yeah, Nomadland here is the favorite at -400. Mank is +350. I would also love to go with Mank, but I feel like we're doing too many of the same. So just to switch it up, I'm going to go with Nomadland. But Mank, Jared, just to kind of piggyback on what you were saying, yeah, it's black and white, but it makes you feel like you are, like, I watched this in my bed, just on my big screen TV. Like it felt like
flex.
God damn you, Jeremy. No, but yeah, I just felt like I was at the movies, though. It just felt like one of those spectacle movies. It sucks. I don't even think this is a Netflix movie. We really couldn't even see it in theaters anyways, but it just felt like a movie that was bigger than itself. And I also didn't see Nomadland, but that's the favorite here, so fuck you guys going with Nomadland.
I think that's a good pick as well. I considered Nomadland. But for animated feature film, Bob, what were you considering?
Animated feature film. This is the reason I wanted you to put up the list. I think I've seen on this one the most, tied for my most of any category with 2.
Soul and Onward.
I've seen Soul and Onward, but I went with Soul just because I think it's a really, really fucking good movie. without a doubt, out of the two of the we're on 5 on the list, yeah, it's the best one. Soul's really fucking good. That could have been nominated. Has there ever been an animated movie nominated for Best Picture?
Toy Story, right?
No, Toy Story was the first one to win.
Jesus.
First computer animated movie to win.
But holy crap. Yeah, Soul's a really good movie. I feel like we didn't talk about that enough when we were talking about the, whatever, sound mixing or whatever we were talking about earlier. That's a really good movie. Soul, I think I'm assuming this might be our third watch.
Yeah, Bob, I'm going with you on this one with Soul just because it was a really fucking good movie. I also saw Onward, and it was like a fun movie, and it's like a little sad at the end.
Right.
But Soul, it kind of cuts deep and makes you like genuinely think about it for the next week, which is kind of really tough to do, especially with like an animated movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I know Over the Moon, I know someone who watched it. They said it fucking sucked. So definitely not picking that movie. Jared, do you want to pick Over the Moon or go with us with Soul?
I'm going to go with Soul. Pixar wins a lot of the time that they're nominated. I will go on record, though, if Soul doesn't win, it'll be Wolfwalkers.
Great name.
So I almost...
You don't get points for that.
I know. I almost want to go for it, but I'm going to be upset when Soul ends up winning because I think that's a pretty safe lock.
Yeah. Soul is minus 5,000 for that one.
Yeah. You're not winning. Wow. You're not winning any money on that.
Bob, you want to go put 5,000?
I'm about to put $5 and fucking
get like a dime back.
All right.
Are we in the fun ones now?
We're in the fun ones.
Cool.
Let's go with actor in a supporting role. Ben, who do you got?
This is tough. Mainly because I didn't see any of these movies besides Sound of Metal, but I don't think Paul Raci is gonna win it.
Is he the old guy? Who is he?
Yeah, he's the older guy. I think I'm going to go with Daniel Kaluuya in this one because I just know that him and Lakeith Stanfield kind of stood out, and Lakeith Stanfield's also in this. I know.
You would think one of them might be a
leading role.
Yeah,
I know there was was kind of like backlash from that. Like, but when you make a movie like that, you more so want to win just an Oscar and just to create buzz about it. So I think that they think Daniel Kaluuya will probably wrap that one up. I think he's
been nominated before.
Yeah, and he's bigger in that. I think he's bigger in that movie than Lakeith Stanfield. Jeremy, you watched it, so you can maybe count. Oh, you didn't watch?
I watched it, but I would say that Lakeith Stanfield is the leading actor in the movie.
Well, fuck me then, but I'm going with Daniel Kaluuya in this one.
I think it's between the Judas and the Black Messiah boys.
Do you think that'll make someone else win then? Will they split the vote and someone else creeps up?
Yeah, that's what I'm afraid of.
I don't know. I think it's going to go to one of them. And I went with Lakeith Stanfield because I would say he's the leading actor. So if you put a leading actor in the supporting actor category, that's who I'm going to go with. I don't know what Vegas says on this one, but
it sides with me.
It does, yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, if you're talking about supporting roles, yes, Daniel Kaluuya is the best supporting actor.
That's annoying then, though. I wish in movies like this they would separate them. Like how in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, they had Leo be the main actor and they had Brad Pitt be the supporting actor. And they were in that movie a lot together, but you could tell which one was leading. So I wish this movie would have separated them.
I mean, I could be wrong, but I think if you go with just screen time alone, Lakeith Stanfield has a
which is what they judge it on,
pretty
right?
significant lead on Daniel Kaluuya, though. Either way, I'm going Lakeith Stanfield.
Yeah, Ben, read me the Vegas odds on Leslie Odom Jr.
Leslie Odom Jr. is at plus 1,700, so you're getting pretty good odds if you want to put actual money on it. He's fourth. Lakeith Stanfield coming in at fifth. Sorry, Jer. Paul Raci at third, which is kind of a shock. Sacha Baron Cohen also at plus 1,200 and Kaluuya at minus 2,500.
I strictly went with Leslie Odom Jr. here just because
you love that he sang.
Yeah, but I saw One Night Miami was nominated for a couple things. I just think about it like when I'm watching the Oscars, whenever the big categories come around, it's never who I think it's going to be. So I strictly went with like this pick just because I was like maybe it'll be an upset.
But the big ones, I feel like they almost like do like, hey, we owe you one. And Kaluuya didn't win and get out.
That's what
like maybe this is their way of like nodding to him, like, hey, you're actually really good in that other movie.
Your logic kind of that's why Leonardo DiCaprio won for Revenant a couple of years ago, which was not a good movie, but he's literally one of the greatest actors of all time. So I liked your guys' logic there. It almost made me switch last second, but I'm going to stick to my guns. Leslie Odom Jr.
Let's get to officially actor in a leading role. I was pretty solidified in my pick for Gary Oldman after watching Sound of Metal. Riz Ahmed maybe could sneak by, but I'm gonna stick with Gary Oldman. I think he was pretty damn incredible in Mank.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with the old Heath Ledger treatment, and I think Chadwick Boseman is gonna take home actor in a leading role. And that wasn't meant as a joke or to be mean, but like, he's a very good actor. Over the years, we just talked about how sometimes they give awards to actors that have been nominated for Best Actor before, and they didn't get it. And it's sort of like a nod to what they've done in the past. Chadwick Boseman, he's done so much. You know, I feel like it's going to be a cherry on top. From what I read about this, I actually did research on this. It looks like that he did a good job. I mean, he obviously did good enough to be nominated for Best Actor.
I think he won the Golden Globe, right?
Exactly. So I feel pretty good about that. I think it's kind of like a tip of the cap to him and his whole career. That's probably my strongest pick on.
No, yeah, and I should I'm going to watch this movie now just because of I really didn't hear that much buzz about it. I guess I didn't.
I just learned it was on Netflix, so yeah, I'm gonna watch it.
But like, I want to watch it because of that. I didn't watch it, and I want to vote for one that I did watch in this one, which is why I'm going with Riz Ahmed over Gary Oldman. Jer, I know I watched both these movies this week, and I just thought Riz Ahmed had to do a little bit more than Gary Oldman. And I think they both did a great job. And, you know, I know this is like the first category where I know everyone in it, like Chadwick Boseman, Anthony Hopkins, Stephen Yeun. And I almost want to vote for Stephen Yeun just based off Invincible. But I can't do that.
Or The Walking Dead.
Yeah, or The Walking Dead. But I'm going to go with Riz Ahmed on this one.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting one. I think we all made valid points. I could see it going any way there. Let's get into the actresses, starting with supporting role. Bob, who do you have for actress in a supporting role?
I went with Amanda Seyfried, Mank, just because my logic of Mank's nominated for a lot of things, it's got to win something.
Fuck it. Yeah, I liked Mank a lot. I've been saying it a bunch, but I didn't think she had to really do that much in it. I thought she was good, but I thought like Lily Collins was in it more. I thought she could have been like, she wasn't as good as Amanda Seyfried, I thought, but I don't know. They kind of like split it between the two of them. I'm going with Maria Bakalova in this one.
I wanted to.
Because that movie was just a lot of fun, and I think it's more like
improv.
Yeah, it's more improv than like acting at the end of the day, which is probably why she won't win it.
Debatably harder.
Yeah, it could be, and I think she like really had to stick to her character and like in a lot of awkward situations. And I don't know if the Academy is up to date with like that kind of acting yet. Maybe in like a couple of years that something like that wins, but maybe this is the year. Maybe we
I don't think they understand
a couple
how
years
hard it is
to
do
improv.
what she did.
Yeah.
But I think it's enough validation that she was not. Because Sacha Baron Cohen said that
True.
when it came out. He's just like, okay, like the shit this girl had to do, you know what I mean? Like she should be nominated, and she was. Will she win it? That'd be cool if she did.
I considered it as well. I think it's just a little too radical of a vote for the Academy. So I went with the tried and true Olivia Colman in The Father. I haven't seen it, but I imagine she did a good job.
We suck.
Fucking horrible.
I imagine she did a good job.
I haven't seen any of these fucking movies.
We should probably watch these movies next year if we do this again.
Christ, dude.
Oh my god, I love it.
Guys, the Academy doesn't watch the movies either, okay? They're doing the exact same thing. This is how the movies get picked. Let's get to actress in a leading role. Ben, who's your favorite leading woman this year?
Yeah, so I watched...
Pick the one you watched.
I watched none of these movies. Shit, I suck. But this is, believe it or not, this is the only one with like, these are the closest odds. So let me just read them through. Carey Mulligan plus 125, Viola Davis plus 200, Frances McDormand plus 400, Andra Day plus 600, Vanessa Kirby plus 2,000. I guess I'm just gonna go with Viola Davis because I think she's the most like tried and true here. People know her the most. Yeah, this one's actually tough for me. I wish I would have seen more of these. Like I suck because when the Oscars come around, I'm one of those people, you know how the movies want the Oscars to win because then more people will watch them after. I'm one of those people they convince to watch after. So if like a certain movie wins a bunch of awards, I'm more likely to watch that movie. So I'm going to go with Viola Davis because I kind of feel like Ma Rainey might be a sleepy winner in this, and I hope I am like more encouraged to watch this movie after.
I don't know if I want to pivot from what I have written down right now. I have Frances McDormand written down. Do I want to change it to Carey Mulligan and call an audible? Those are the only two movies I've seen, and they both performed very well.
Let me answer before so you don't talk shit to me. I'm picking Carey Mulligan because I know who she is.
That is fair.
She's a really good actress.
Yeah.
I'll stick to what I have written down. I'll stick to Frances McDormand, but I may regret that if Carey Mulligan ends up winning. All right. We're getting to the two big ones. Get to the best director. I'm going to have pretty similar trains of thought for these last two categories here. I'm not going with what I thought was the best personally. I'm going with what I think the Academy is going to pick, and I'm going with Chloe Zhao for Nomadland for Best Director. Also directing The Eternals, so hopefully that'll play in my movie draft from last week as well.
Looking at this now, and then I was like, everything that we've said throughout, I went with
David Fincher.
I went with Another Round.
Oh, wow.
One of the real sleeper
Thomas
here.
Vinterberg, our favorite director.
Yeah, I imagine the odds on him are kind of a long shot.
They're long shot, but they're not like plus, like, they're not 50 to 1 or something.
When I picked it originally, I mean, it's not on here that much, but I don't know. I'm a shot in the dark on most of these, so I'm just going to go with it.
That's not bad. I wanted to go with Mank here. I really did, but I know Nomadland is like a big favorite in a lot of these, so Jared, I'm going to copy you here and say Chloe Zhao, but even though I'm picking that now, I'm especially now that none of us voted for it, I hope Mank wins because I really enjoyed that movie.
All right, we're down to the final award of the night, the biggest Best Picture. There are 8 movies. Bob, let's just start. How many have you seen?
Yeah, none. I've not seen any.
Yeah, but how many movies of these do you want to see? Like, for real, because there's like each year.
The Black Messiah I want to see. The Father I want to see. Nomadland I think I want to. Sound of Metal is my number one. That's one I probably will see. And Trial of the Chicago 7 I almost watched. But yeah, I mean,
that counts, right?
Whoever wins is going to be.
But I feel like Best Picture is like this category. Like they can nominate up to 10, and like each year, I'm like 3 of them sound good. 1 of them I've watched.
This is the hardest one to pick.
This one, yeah. Like, see, I've only seen Mank and Sound of Metal. The Trial of the Chicago 7, I suck in this aspect where it seemed like too deep for me to go into. With everything going on in the world right now, I kind of wanted to shy away from it, which is probably like a stupid reason to not see this movie. But I didn't want that's why I didn't. Black Messiah is a 1 day away. I fucked up. That one's on me. The Father I don't really want to see. Like Promising Young Woman I don't really want to see. Minari has spiked my interest, but like other than that, like I don't know if I see one of the movies that I don't really want to watch unless it wins. Then I'm like, oh shit, maybe I should watch it.
I watched 6 of these. The only ones I haven't seen are The Father and Minari. I would have watched those, but they're still at a $20 rental price, and I could not justify spending $40 to watch these 2 movies, although I'm sure I will watch them once they drop down. I waited for Promising Young Woman to drop down to $5 before I watched that one, and the rest were all streaming, I believe, so yeah, I've seen 6 of the 8. I didn't think that there was a huge front runner. I wouldn't be surprised if Minari or The Father would end up being the one I consider the objective best after I watch them. I can say Judas and the Black Messiah was my favorite of the ones I watched. Maybe not objectively the best. I'd say Sound of Metal might be the one that I picked as Best Picture. But the one I think the Academy is going to pick, the one I'm locking in, is Nomadland. Probably my least favorite of the 6 that I saw, but I think it's just what the Academy is looking for. I think that they're just going to play it safe and pick that one.
I picked Promising Young Woman. I don't know why, but I did pick it. So we'll see.
17 to 1. That's not terrible. Nomadland is the favorite at minus 670 here. Oh man, this one sucks because I was also leaning towards Nomadland, but I like just finishing Sound of Metal, and I know this is recency bias. It was like a really fucking good movie, and it really moved me. Jared, give me some input real quick on Nomadland. When you watched it, were you moved? Did you like it? Like, did you feel like anything after? Have you thought about it after?
I've not thought about it after. I thought it was pretty boring. I thought it was good looking, and I thought Frances McDormand was really good in it, but I just didn't feel like a lot happened. and it did not leave a lasting impression on me other than a few days of me being like, did I even like that movie? Like, just trying to like come to terms with understanding why there was so much hype around it.
Yeah, I'm now in between. Nomadland is the favorite. I don't think it's gonna win. I don't think it's gonna win, and keep that framed for when I'm wrong one day later. And I think I'm gonna go with Mank here because it also feels like one of the like a classic, and it was a really good movie. And I didn't like it as much as Sound of Metal, but it feels like a movie Academy voters are like, oh, that's fucking great. Like it feels like a movie. It feels like a movie that they fucking get off to. It just feels right up their alley. I'm going with Mank.
I think that's fair. All right, boys, how confident are you feeling? Are you going to win? Are you at the very least not going to lose?
Bob, you thought you were winning coming in. How do you feel now?
Now that I know what the punishment movie is, I don't really care. I was going to probably watch it anyway, honestly.
Damn. Well, that's going to be unfortunate when
So I don't give a shit.
When Bob loses and he enjoys his punishment movie.
I should have just went all chalk. Before. I should have went all chalk.
Well, I don't know why you wouldn't, dude.
I'm looking at these odds all night, but I didn't want to be an asshole, and I think some of these, like, I don't know, Nomadland minus 670.
How often does that happen, though?
Yeah, well, La La Land was supposed to win, and they fucking ripped it away from my hands, Bob.
I know, we know that.
All right, well, hopefully you enjoyed our little Oscar predictions. In a week after our regularly scheduled episode, we will have our punishment review. By that time, we'll know who won and who lost, so keep an eye on Twitter. We'll post updates there. In the meantime, thank you for listening, and your regularly scheduled Big Movie Boys podcast will be out on Monday. See you then.